'Tis the season to snort Molly, fa la 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 la. Dropping acid just for jollies, fa la 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 la. Get those mushrooms in your stomach, fa la 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 la. I'm so high I want to vomit, fa la 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 la. Hello, everybody, and Merry Christmas. It is Christmas Day. I wanted to record a video yesterday, but I don't know what was going on. I was moving too slow earlier on, and later on, well, I was just kind of in a rush to get to work. I actually had to work last night, Christmas Eve to Christmas morning. So what I really wanted to talk about is the solar deity incarnation theory. See, there's this idea. Some of you may remember Zeitgeist, that documentary about the control of the world, the secret, the shadow government, and all of that. Well, there's a section in that discusses the solar deity, and while it does get some facts wrong, many of the details about a lot of the deities referenced in comparison to Christ were actually wrong. The details were not true at all. Although the major points, these deities are associated with the sun. They did have some special mythos for the winter time for now. And essentially what that is that today, the 25th, the sun is finally moving again. It's rising. It's not staying in the same spot in the sky for those 3 days. It begins on December 21st. That's the winter solstice, and the sun is at its lowest point for 3 days. Up to the 24th, I believe. And then the 25th, it begins to rise again. And this is why we celebrate the rising of Christ or actually we celebrate the birth of Christ today, but we really should be celebrating the resurrection of Christ today. Because the story of the resurrection actually fits much more closely with the actual function of this time period and the sun. But this is still something which is valid. There are solar deities all throughout the world, all throughout world religions, and they all have very similar traits. Now let's just go out on a limb here and assume that incarnation does exist, and that means that consciousnesses from other sources can incarnate into a flesh and blood human form. For example, the consciousness that comprises the sun could possibly condense down or imprint onto a human being. In which case, we would, in fact, expect to see a person with very close mental ties to the sun, and properties which are often associated with the sun. The sun is generous. The sun is giving. The sun is bright. The sun is the brightest light in the sky, whether that is day or night. Of course, it only comes out during the day. That's the cause of the day. So a person like this would be someone who shines a light in the darkness. A person like this would be someone who carries the torch of truth, who carries this intense generosity to the world. Very giving, very intelligent as well, more than likely anyway. So it would actually be interesting to meet such a person, someone who has had their consciousness either closely associated to the point of near total quantum entanglement or total quantum entanglement with the consciousness of something much larger, like the sun or like the earth itself. Now, this might sound like a lot of crazy New Age rambling and whatnot, and it kind of is, but it's fun. It's interesting. But let's just discuss this again. Let's discuss this a little bit further. The Christians celebrate Christmas. They believe that this is the time that Christ was born. They believe that Christ is the one true God. Now, of course, Christ actually explicitly said the opposite. In John 10:34, he explicitly says, and this is a quote, "Is it not written in your laws, I say unto you, ye are gods," unquote. And this was spoken by Christ to the Pharisees. This is literally a rebuttal to the claim that he was breaking the law by claiming that he was God. We are all gods, according to the Bible even. So there are other gods. And in fact, the Bible has many other verses saying much the same thing. There are many gods, and human beings are divine. This is explicit. So let's just go back to the solar deity thing. Before Christ, there was Krishna, and Krishna has a nearly identical story to Christ, and he's an enlightened being. He came to Earth, performed miracles, led people out of suffering, brought kindness, generosity, and wisdom to the earth, and joy. He brought joy. Now, Krishna has been mal-worshipped by some people, known as the Hare Krishnas, or ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which is a cult. It is a cult. It is not actually a sect of Hinduism. It is a pseudo-Hindu cult. It represents itself as Hinduism. It uses Hindu symbology, Hindu literature, but the beliefs presented are not Hindu. Worshipping one deity or one incarnation over all others is actually not an aspect of Hinduism in the slightest. And Krishna, if he saw people promoting this and even getting violent about it, he would have come out against it. And the same goes for Christ. Christ was an anti-materialist, so he did kind of ransack the churches when materialists took over and started running their money through it. But he was not against everyone who had a different perspective. He would definitely not have condoned violence against people who had different religious beliefs. And in fact, Christ even mentioned to people, like, leave the pagans alone. There was one point in the Bible, in the New Testament, where a man who was not a Christian and not a Jew was performing miracles. And the disciples of Christ came to him and said, there's a man doing this and he's not crediting you. And Christ was like, who the fuck cares? Let him do it. Let him do it. He's doing good. Who cares? So Christ would definitely oppose this hegemonic sort of thing as well. It's very strange to me that we Christians are awaiting the return of Christ, and yet they would reject Christ if he did appear, because anyone performing miracles who is not Christ is a false prophet, a Satanist, or something along those lines, a sign of the end times. Which you'd think that if Christ is returning, he might perform a few miracles. Yeah, there's according to the Bible, yeah, there are some false prophets that are supposed to do the same thing, but Christ is also going to do the same thing. So you can't just reject everything. You can't just reject everything You yourself believe that Christ is making a return. Why are you rejecting the proof that Christ might be returned? Anyway, Christian hegemony is problematic mainly because Christianity is not actually derived from the Bible. And I do believe in doing much more research into this stuff. And even into Christianity itself, even into the Bible itself, researching that. Because that's actually how I left Christianity, was by, researching the Bible. Studying what the meanings of these various strange things said in the Bible actually are. This was kind of a ramble. I'm pretty tired. I was working all night, and I was tired before I went to work. Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays. I'm probably only going to upload one more video this year, and that'll be on New Year's Eve, I believe. So yeah, stay tuned. Have a wonderful day.